This is New Day Northwest.
Welcome back to the show. Whether you're looking for a house in Seattle or considering selling, there's a lot going on in the real estate market here in Puget Sound. Here with some predictions on what's to come in 2023 is real estate agent Brooke Davis. Welcome back to the show. I always love having you here because you have such insight, but you make it easy to digest because there is a lot of stress when it comes to real estate. There's a lot of uncertainty. So what is new in the Seattle real estate market?
Well, there's a lot of change, and I'm excited because we have a different market than the slower market that we saw in fourth quarter of 2022. We're seeing more visitors through open houses, more private showings booked. There's been an increase in the number of mortgage applications. And this has all led to more pending sales. So our Northwest Multiple Listing Service, which is 26 counties in Washington, showed a 44% increase just last month in the number of homes pending over December. So that many more people are buying homes.
So a lot of people, maybe if you're thinking of selling or getting in, like how do I time the real estate market?
This is a tough one, and Amity, you've heard me say this before. The right time to buy a home is when you fall in love with a house and the numbers work out. But this assumes that all your ducks are in a row. You know, you've talked to a real estate professional, you're pre-approved for a mortgage, right? So let's say you are just starting to think about buying or selling this year. I'm going to talk a little bit about something called a micro market. And what I mean by that is that depending on your neighborhood, depending on your price point, depending on the home style, there will be some markets that have lower inventory than others. And so maybe in North Seattle, where we have very low inventory, we're seeing bidding wars on houses. But there's still some homes where, you know, the buyer has an opportunity to negotiate contingencies and maybe negotiate a little bit of concessions. So you really have to identify what is the market that your house is in before you decide if it's time to buy or sell this year. See,
that's a really good point because, you know, I remember when I bought a house, my first house, you know, 10 something years ago, I came in under asking, you know, all these things. I didn't pay cash for it. I mean, this is what people are doing now. They're like, here's cash for this house. Like, what? How do you get in on a tough market like that?
Yeah, this is a good one. You know, if you're a first-time home buyer especially, you know, which is exciting, just start small. Start thinking about a townhouse or a condominium. And yes, interest rates are high right now. And prices are not low, right? So, you know, you have to think about the fact that interest rates will likely go down and you can probably lower that payment. And if the alternative is to consider renting, rents are going up over time. So try to start small and start accumulating some equity.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So if you want to buy something but sellers aren't selling, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, sellers are not selling, right? And the number one reason right now has to do with so many people having a low interest rate already, right? So that's what's keeping our inventory low. So who is selling? You know, people who are motivated, maybe they have a life change, a relocation, a death, a divorce. They have a motivating factor to get on the market.
Yeah, and there's not a lot because I know a lot of people say, you know, I could sell my house, but I could never afford to buy something else in this market or this neighborhood.
Right. And so for that reason, you know, supply and demand, it is still a good time to sell your home because we don't have enough people putting their house on the market.
So given all the change, well, first I'll ask, when you talk about the higher interest rates and everything, is this a good time to sell?
I think so.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. If you look at the fact that inventory levels are quite low in a lot of neighborhoods, and we are seeing some bidding wars in some of those areas, you know, you're likely to get a lot of attention on your house if you list it for sale right now.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So given all the change in the market, is Zillow the estimates or the Redfin estimates when you go on there, are they actually accurate?
Always a good question to talk about, right?
Because I'm always like, really? You've never even been inside this house.
Exactly.
Zillow.
I mean, they'll show some trends, right, of home prices going up or down. But, you know, in order to price a house, which is something that's really important as real estate professionals this year, we have to look at the most current data. So we might be looking at sales that are actually pending right now. We might be looking at what has happened with interest rates since some of the sales have closed. And so, you know, Zillow and Redfin and the online estimates, they may be looking at maybe a longer historical data. So they may not be as accurate in this market.
Especially like you were saying with those microclimates and kind of, not microclimates.
Markets.
Micro markets, which is the same kind of like concept as a microclimate, right? Like this is happening here, but AI may not understand that, right?
Exactly.
So that's why you need a real estate professional to be like, okay, here's the lowdown.
Right. Exactly. Good analogy there.
Well, thank you. Should you be talking to, let's just say you're not really sure where you want to live. So say you're thinking maybe North Seattle, maybe Issaquah. Should you be talking to multiple real estate professionals? What should you do?
That's a good one. You know, when you talk to a real estate professional, you'll need to ask them what is their work process for different neighborhoods. And everyone may have a little bit different way of handling that. They may have different colleagues or different realtors that they work with, but they'll be able to guide you through their process for that.
Another random question for you. I love it because you always have the answers. You were talking about building that equity. Say you really can't. You just can't buy a house or a condo in Seattle. You just can't do it. Is it worth it buying in another market and renting it out to build that equity, or is that just more hassle than it's worth?
Are you talking about being a landlord?
Yeah. Well, not me, but I'm saying maybe a friend. I don't know.
I believe in real estate investment. I think it's a great idea. However, you really want to weigh the pros and cons of doing that. And so look at that market that you want to buy in. You know, if you know the Seattle market, and I mean kind of greater Puget Sound market, maybe that's an area you're more comfortable investing in versus going to the Midwest or going outside of the state. Really wrap your brain around talking to the professionals in those areas to understand the market trends before you do that.
All right, before I let you go, speaking of market trends, do you have any predictions for 2023?
Oh, sure. Well, number one, most economists are saying that interest rates are going to go down this year, which I think everyone will be excited about. And in terms of median prices, everyone wants to know, am I going up? Am I going down? I don't think we'll see a lot of change in any direction.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I actually think you're probably absolutely right, because truly, it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere. It's still a desirable place to live. Thank you so much, Brooke. It's always a pleasure talking to you and having you educate us. You are just an invaluable resource. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And thank you all for spending time with us today. You can check our website for more content. You can always send us an email to share your thoughts. But most importantly, get out there and enjoy your new day. We'll see you next time.